Hi everybody, Mr. P here. We're going to be doing some work today on knowledge about language, and we're going to be covering off a few things. We're going to be covering capital letters, full stops, question marks and exclamation marks. These are all what I would call basic punctuation. So to recap, we're going to be doing capital letters, full stops, question marks and exclamation marks, which are all basic punctuation. Hopefully the first question you're going to ask yourself then is, what is punctuation? Well, punctuation are just marks on a page that we use in our writing to help it make sense. If we didn't have punctuation, then our writing would be very jumbled up and not make any sense. We wouldn't be able to ask any questions, we wouldn't really be able to show emotion, and we would never be able to stop a sentence, which means that we would all suffocate because we wouldn't have time to breathe. Okay, let's look first of all at capital letters. Capital letters. Capital letters go at the start of every sentence. Capital letter is just the grown-up version of the smaller letters, so it's A, B, C, D, all the way through the alphabet, and they go at the start of every single sentence. So that's not a small a at this sentence. That would be wrong. Let's score that back out. It's a capital A. They go at the start of every sentence, but they don't just go at the start of every sentence. You also use them when you're talking about something or someone's name. For example, Andrew gets a capital A because it's his name and he lives in Glasgow. Glasgow gets a capital G because it is the name of a place. If you just said Andrew lives in a town, then town wouldn't get a capital letter, but because Glasgow is the name of that place, it does get a capital letter. You also give yourself a capital letter when you're talking about you. For example, when I was in London, that doesn't get just a little that would be wrong. Let's score that back out. You get the capital I. Okay. The other things that get capital letters, it might be if you're talking about the day of a week, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. They are all the names of the days, so they get capital letters. If you were talking about a month, January, February, March, they are the names of the months, so they would also get capital letters. Right, let's move on to full stops. Full stops are dead easy. You put a full stop at the end of every sentence. Here is a full stop. They go at the end of every sentence because if they didn't, all our sentences would roll into one. We would never be able to finish a sentence and we would all fall over because we would not have time to breathe. Okay, so full stops are really important for actually breathing and therefore life. So full stops, super important, end of every sentence. Okay, so we've covered capital letters, super important, and we've covered full stops, really important too. Let's go on to question marks. Okay, question marks are these kind of squiggly things with a big dot at the bottom. It's like a squiggly mark with a full stop at the bottom. Remember, it looks like it's got a full stop at the bottom. That's important. And every time you ask a question, you put a full stop, a capital letter at the end of that question. For example, can, so that gets, it's a can because it's the start of a sentence you're using. It's an I about you, so that gets a full capital letter. So can I have a drink, please? You are asking a question of someone, so it gets a question mark. And you can see here too that it's got a full stop at the end of it. So in this case, we don't put the full stop in because it's already part of the question mark. Question mark is like a question mark and a full stop rolled into one. Thanks, question marks. That's really handy. Okay, question marks covered. Now we're going to move on to exclamation marks. You use an exclamation mark, which is a straight up and down line, and a full stop at the bottom of it. So it's got a full stop built into it as well. And I always think of exclamation marks at the end of a shouty sentence. Let's see if I'm right. So you use an exclamation mark to show that you are emotional or you're giving an order. You could be happy or you could be sad. So you could be shouting at a game of football or something else and your team have scored a goal and you might shout, yes! That would get an exclamation mark at the end of it because it's an emotion. The two I've given here are not quite happy emotions, but let's have a look at them. Be quiet. That sounds a bit like maybe a wee bit of a shouty, unhappy teacher because maybe her class or his class is too noisy. Attention! Could be a general shouting to soldiers to tell them all to stand up straight and look as smart as they could. So these would get exclamation marks at the end of them. Okay, let's put this in to use to see how we got on. I'm going to use my dog to help explain this today. So I'm going to just go and get her for you and we'll have a go. Okay folks, I want you to listen carefully to what I say for the next few minutes. Let's see if we can then punctuate what I say properly and figure out what needs to go where. Okay, I'm going to start now. Molly! Molly! Yeah? Sit. Sit. Good girl. Good girl. Molly, can you give me a paw? Can you give me a paw? Oh, thanks very much. You're so good. You're so good. Good girl. Good girl. I've got some treats for you if you can do this well. Molly, sit. Good girl. Can you give me a paw? Can you give me a paw? A paw? Good girl. Stay. Stay. Come here. Good girl. Well done. Well done. Okay, here's a treat for you. Sit. Stay. Say cheerio. Good girl, come here. Good girl. Okay folks, it's now task time. What I'm going to do is I'm going to show you what me and Molly have just talked about. So there's what I've just said to Molly. Now we're going to punctuate this properly. Let's have a go.